Yeah, so Garrett, this is going to be the last of the material for level 2. Then we're going to move on to the next level.
It's pretty much the coolest thing possible. As someone who is trained in archaeology and someone who's very passionate about archaeology, not only being able to be here and help out, but also making sure that the community comes in is tremendous. The turnout has been fantastic, and I honestly couldn't have asked for more.
Yeah, so we knew that there's an archaeological site here. We have the Proteus shell midden, which is one component that exists here. It's really important to know who was here, identify the cultural groups, and not only in part for preserving that record of the past, but it's really important to educate the community so that, because the community, if they don't have an appreciation for these resources, they're not going to support the ongoing preservation of these resources, and that's what we're here to do today in part, is garner that further support from the community.
I wanted to come out and just help at the site. I've always wanted to work at an archaeological dig, and when I heard about this opportunity, I volunteered to come out.
Start at about 20 centimeters below the surface, which is actually what we're at right now. We picked this up at 5 centimeters below the surface.
So that people can know that under the surface here is evidence of a really interesting history of people who moved to the coastal areas, just like some of us, and started adapting to this area, using the rich marine resources, building lives that we have really interesting hints of. The shell tools, the pottery, gives us wonderful hints about what people were doing here a couple of thousand years ago. We have evidence of earlier periods from the Archaic, as well as early 20th century evidence from the initial Anglo-American settlers here. And the goal is to make that into a robust, clear understanding of the histories that the people of Sarasota come and see.
Nice. All right.
Nice. What is it?
So this is a Welk tool, and I can clean it off a little bit. It's definitely been utilized. We can see the base of the columella here. Columella is the center spiral portion. So the outer whorl has been reduced, and the base here has been utilized as a tool. Based on, see this slight angle here? And it's not all chipped up, so this was likely a cutting edge tool.
I think it's just talking to people about, we're having fun and we're talking about things that we all know about. It's a learning process for everybody. Archaeology veterans are coming through, people who've never been to a dig are coming through. It's a lot of fun for a lot of people, and community interaction is also a tremendous thing to have, because sometimes people miss out and they want to know more about their community, and I think that's really great.
Right now we're just sifting through the shell that was left after they put soil into the screen.
The first thing they tell you when you start studying archaeology at the college level is that the majority of us are there for Indiana Jones syndrome. Everybody's seen the Indiana Jones movies and has that feeling of, I'm going to go out and discover. And that's why after 10 years, even if I'm discovering a small piece of pottery or a small shell tool, I still get excited.
The tool is going into special bags.
We are now in below the midden, probably going back about 8,000 years, 6,000 year level. We found one little stone flake.
It's one of the wonderful things of archaeology. Human beings leave evidence of their behaviors and actions. They just do. For where we're standing now, which had been a midden from a couple of thousand years ago, people were building their architecture, they were using the resources, and they left evidence. And particularly for these deep past, that's the only evidence we have of these people. We didn't have written records, so this is our access to them. But even the early 20th century remains, the ceramics and bottles, also are things that people weren't thinking about, and enough time has passed. It's kind of neat to see that and connect it to people.
Easily cut, but this was part of a much larger tool.
I mean, we found a few pieces of pottery, which I had no idea what it looked like, and now that I've seen what it looks like, it's very interesting. And then some shell tools. They've dug out a few of the shell tools, and that was interesting to see how to distinguish the tools from the just pieces of shell in the midden.
There was midden here, and decided that this was a great spot.
Archaeology also has that wonderful sense of possibility. And so we have had a couple hundred people come out, which is wonderful, to see the work in process, to see that sense of Well, we have grass growing on the surface, but once we get past that layer, there's material. Now, the material isn't interesting just by itself. It's interesting because of the context in which it comes from. And the excavators, who are wonderful professionals, are explaining carefully that these tools, these pottery sherds are important because of the context in which they're found, and that's going to help us interpret them. So I think the people coming out are just getting infected by the enthusiasm that these professionals are showing.
Somebody up.
Tools to look for more like microfractures.
Because they were living here for thousands of years, hunting, camping along Philippi Creek in the waterway.